Before anyone at Greenwood Heights heard the helicopter, they felt it, a distant hum rolling across the sky, like a heartbeat returning after 10 long years. People lifted their heads, shielding their eyes from the sun, confused, curious, unsettled. Reunions were predictable. Awkward smiles, forced hugs, recycled compliments. But this was different. And everyone sensed it. Because sometimes life gives you a moment, one breathtaking, impossible moment, where the past and present collide so violently that no one walks away unchanged. Today was one of those days. The helicopter drew closer, carving sharp ripples through the peaceful afternoon air. The crowd on the lawn murmured, wondering which wealthy guest had decided to make such an outrageous entrance. They assumed it must be someone important, someone powerful, someone they had grown up admiring. No one imagined it would be her, the girl they once ignored, the girl they once mocked, the girl they once labeled a class loser. But fate has a remarkable sense of irony. It likes to show up exactly where wounds were created, not to reopen them, but to prove they have healed. As the helicopter descended, a hush rippled through the gathering. Laughter faded. Champagne glasses stilled. Even the wind seemed to pause, waiting for the moment the door would open. Something was coming. Something none of them were prepared for. And deep down, in places they didn't dare acknowledge, some of them felt the sharp sting of old guilt they'd buried long ago. They had no idea how much she had changed. Her name was Serena Hale, a name many of them barely remembered, a name spoken only in whispers during high school, usually followed by jokes or cruel imitations. Back then, Serena was the girl no one defended, the girl whose pain became their entertainment, the girl whose silence made her an easy target. She came from a small family that lived in a tiny house at the edge of town. Her clothes were simple, her lunch always modest, her shoes scuffed. None of those things made her unworthy. But in a place like Brooksville High, worth was twisted, measured by brands, beauty, and bravado. And Serena had none of those armor pieces to protect her. Her one safe place was art, pages filled with sketches of worlds she wished she lived in. She carried that sketchbook everywhere, guarding it like a fragile piece of her soul. Unfortunately, even that wasn't safe from ridicule. Students like Madison Rivers, Trish Valdor, and their glamorous circle of friends treated Serena like a walking punchline. They photographed her, mocked her clothes, snatched her drawings, whispered behind her back, and sometimes even recorded her crying. Not because they were evil. No, that would almost be easier to understand. They were cruel simply because they could be, and no one stopped them. Except one person. Old Mr. Kenner, the school janitor, would find Serena wiping away tears by the lockers or hiding near the vending machines. He'd sit with her, telling her she was stronger than she knew. That life had a strange way of rewarding those who kept going. Serena didn't always believe him, but those words planted something small and steady inside her, something she would cling to later. None of her bullies ever imagined the quiet girl they tormented would one day build a life greater than theirs combined. But life is unpredictable like that. Years passed after graduation. Years Serena spent fighting silently against every memory that tried to pull her backward. She worked exhausting shifts, sometimes 3 jobs at once, barely sleeping. She studied business online, often late at night when her body begged for rest. But she kept going. She had no roadmap, no connections, no cheerleaders, only determination. And then, one ordinary afternoon, the extraordinary happened. Serena walked into a tiny artisan candle shop, searching for an affordable gift. The store smelled like vanilla and rosemary, soft and comforting like a warm memory. The shelves looked freshly dusted but nearly empty, as if the business had been forgotten by time. Behind the counter stood an elderly woman with silver hair pinned neatly behind her ear. Her eyes sparkled with curiosity as she watched Serena wander hesitantly through the aisles. Her name was Evelyn Hart. She asked Serena simple questions at first: what she liked, what caught her eye, what scents made her feel at peace. But soon she noticed more. The way Serena traced the designs on the candle jars, the questions she asked about packaging and storytelling, the thoughtful way she admired the craftsmanship. Before Serena could reach the door, Evelyn surprised her with a gentle, unexpected offer. You seem like someone with ideas. Would you consider helping me revive this business?" Serena almost laughed. She had no experience, no confidence, and barely any free time. But Evelyn didn't see what Serena lacked. She saw what Serena carried. Quiet brilliance waiting to bloom. Serena said yes. What followed was nothing short of transformation. In 2 years, Serena poured her soul into the company. She redesigned the candles, created new scents inspired by emotions and memories, built an online store that felt intimate and personal, and connected with customers through heartfelt storytelling. The brand didn't just grow, it exploded. When Evelyn passed away peacefully, she left the entire company to Serena, trusting her to carry on the legacy. And Serena did. She expanded the small candle shop into Heart and Haven, a global luxury wellness brand with products sold in airports, resorts, and high-end boutiques around the world. Her designs were featured in magazines. Her scents were loved by celebrities. Her revenue reached millions. But none of that erased the past. Instead, it made her wonder, what happens when someone who was once broken becomes whole? Does returning to the place where the pain began reopen wounds, or close them? That question lingered quietly until one morning when an envelope slid into her mailbox. A reunion invitation. She recognized the handwriting immediately, that perfect, confident cursive she had seen decorating posters and popularity lists in high school. Madison Rivers. Serena read the note twice. The wording was polite, almost sugary, but the intention beneath it? Sharp as glass. She knew exactly why they wanted her back. Not out of kindness, not out of curiosity, but because they assumed she would still be the same forgotten girl they left behind. They expected to laugh. They expected to gossip. They expected her to show up small. They did not expect her to show up powerful. Serena placed the envelope down gently, not with anger, not with revenge, but with clarity. She wasn't going back for them. She was going back for herself, to close a chapter that had remained open far too long. Now, the helicopter settled quietly on the emerald lawn of Greenwood Heights, and every conversation died in the crowd. Dust swirled lightly around them as the blade slowed and the weight of the moment settled. The door opened, and Serena stepped out. Her dress flowed like soft ivory silk, catching the light in delicate waves. Her hair, longer now, framed her face with natural grace. But it wasn't her appearance that stunned the crowd. It was the energy she carried, steady and grounded, the kind of presence no one could mock or diminish. She walked with the calm authority of a woman who had rebuilt herself piece by piece. Gasps rippled through the lawn. Whispers followed. Faces flushed with embarrassment. Madison froze, her jaw slack. Trish clutched her purse, her eyes darting nervously. The boys who once snickered at her shoes now tugged awkwardly at their collars. They expected to see the girl they had broken. Instead, they saw the woman who had healed. Serena didn't glare. She didn't smirk. She didn't seek validation. She simply walked through them, not above them, not below them, but beyond them. Inside the event hall, framed photos lined the walls, smiling faces, school dances, sports victories, club meetings. Serena wandered slowly, absorbing each memory from a distance. These halls once held her nightmares. Today, they held nothing she feared. Then she stopped. A photo of a lonely girl sitting on a bench, sketchbook in her lap, staring at the ground as though she hoped it would swallow her whole. Serena touched the edge of the photo, her fingertips steady. But instead of sadness, she felt something surprising. Gratitude. That girl had survived. That girl had kept going. That girl had grown into someone she never imagined she could become. Behind her, whispers softened. People shifted uneasily, as if the weight of their past actions suddenly became too heavy to ignore. Regret lingered in their expressions. Regret they couldn't voice. Regret she didn't need. She didn't come for apologies. She came for closure. And she had found it. As the sun lowered in the sky, painting the lawn in warm gold, Serena stepped outside for the final time. She took a slow breath, feeling the crisp air fill her lungs. She didn't need anyone to validate her worth. She didn't need anyone to rewrite her story. She had rewritten it herself. When the helicopter blades began to turn again, she felt a deep, Quiet release, like the last piece of her past finally letting go. She glanced back one last time, not at the people, but at the younger version of herself, whose voice she had finally learned to honor. Then she rose into the sky, leaving behind the echoes of cruelty, the shadows of old pain, and the people who once believed they had the right to define her. They were wrong. Serena Hale had become extraordinary, not because others recognized her worth, but because she finally recognized it herself. And somewhere deep inside, the girl she once was smiled, proud, healed, and finally free.